Brazil's Senate voted 61-20 to remove President Dilma Rousseff from office, finding her guilty of breaking budgetary laws. The Senate's decision, although not a surprise, is a major blow for Rousseff, but it might not mark the end of her political career. Even though the country's first female president was kicked out of office, she's not barred from running again. For more on this ruling, we're joined by political analyst Chris Metzler. Chris, under a Brazilian law, a dismissed president is prevented from holding any government job, but senators voted to allow Rousseff to maintain her political rights. What does this decision say about the senator's attitude toward Rousseff?
Well, I think it says a number of things. One, I think fundamentally, she is a force to be reckoned with, and I think they understand that. I also think let's look at the atmosphere of the senators who impeached her and removed her from office. A number of them have been caught in corruption of one kind or another. In some respects, it seems as if she has become the scapegoat for corruption in Brazil. And no one has ever indicated that she has personally benefited from any of this corruption that's been going on. So I think they know that they went as far as they can go because look, the public has spoken and her former running mate, now the acting president, has corruption troubles of his own.
He sure does. And last night, his name is Michel Temer. He was sworn in as president. Temer received support from the United States, though, which rejected claims that Rousseff had been removed in a coup. John Kirby said he respects Brazil's decision and the Brazilian democratic institutions have acted within its constitutional framework. But in May, WikiLeaks released evidence that Temer was an embassy informant for U.S. intelligence and military. Is this a case of a U.S.-sponsored coup?
Well, I'm not sure that it's necessarily a U.S.-sponsored coup. However, I don't think that in this case, America's hands is completely clean. The president has been known for a while to be a government informant. And so it is, in my view, more than coincidental that he happens to now be back in power after this, I think, definitely is a legislative coup. It is a bloodless coup, but it is a legislative coup. And I think for emerging democracies around the world, they ought to study this very, very, very carefully before making decisions and understand how the use of the laws can, in fact, impact the people who they elect. The president, the new president or acting president, was rejected a number of times by Brazilian voters, yet here he sits in a position of power again. So in my view, it is definitely a coup, albeit a legislative coup, the effect is the same.
More of a parliamentary coup. Very
Yes.
curious. Now, Rousseff's attorney said the charges were trumped up to punish the president's support for a huge corruption investigation that busted a lot of Brazil's elite. The majority leader of the Senate and also a key Temer ally was caught on tape plotting to remove the president. They wanted her to stop a car wash investigation that involved kickbacks at a state oil company. Was any of that taken into account during the trial?
There was mention of that in the trial, but it wasn't taken into account in a weighty way. In fact, her detractors would say that even though she was not personally tainted by the scandal, that she knew or should have known that this corruption and these scandals were going on. I don't buy that, and the evidence doesn't suggest that. In my view, while Brazil, the parliament certainly has the right to do what it did within the confines of its laws, it seems to me that it is an unnecessary, intrusive, and undemocratic way of removing a president from office. The people had spoken. Now, part of what happened here, too, is, remember, Brazil went through a significant economic slowdown. And so part of what was occurring is that they were trying to blame the economic slowdown on her as well. So they use this kind of parliamentary maneuver. And let's not forget, with the budgetary piece, she is not the only president to have ever done that. So it is not like she said, okay, I'm going to do this and I have no authority to do it. That's what concerns me.
Over half, 60% of the nearly 600 members of Brazil's Congress face serious charges like bribery, electoral fraud, kidnapping, and homicide. By contrast, as you mentioned, Rousseff was not accused of stealing to benefit herself financially. Chris Metzler, thank you so much for providing insight on this topic tonight.
My pleasure. Take care.